Welcome back. Let's go straight over to my next guest. He'll be with me tomorrow night from 7 until 8 for his regular hour-long slot. But we thought we'd get him in right now for a story that concerns the legal arena. So a warm welcome to a barrister, Steven Barrett. Hi, Steven.
Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you. Now, this is the story of Shane March, arguably a man who should never have been on the streets. In the year 2000, he got life for stabbing a poor little 17-year-old kid in the neck and killing him. He got life. 13 years later, they let him out. Life, 13 years. You know, am I missing something here? They let him out. Last year, he murdered his pregnant girlfriend, a lady called Alana Odysseus. She's from Suffolk, 32 years old, pregnant with his child. He stabbed her 19 times in a frenzied attack. At first he claimed that this assault was manslaughter due to diminished responsibility, but halfway through the trial it was pointed out to him that this claim was ridiculous, so he conceded that it was murder. At the Old Bailey he was sentenced to life, and his second life sentence of his life. In itself, that's absurd, isn't it? With a minimum of 42 years. But here's the point. He refused to be there for his sentencing. Generously, in the end, he agreed to tune in by video link. But he refused to actually be there. Now, last year when Lucy Letby, the nurse killer, the angel of death, was sentenced for killing those babies, she got a whole life term, of course, never to be released. She refused to be in the dock at that point. So did that little fiend, the Southport dance hall killer, Axel Rudakapana. He refused to be in the dock. Now, a lot of people go, oh, come on, he's got life, he'll never get out. What the hell, does it matter? Well, it does matter. I think the public want this nation, our legal system, to frankly, excuse my French, show some balls and say to these defendants, oh, you don't want to be there for sentencing. We'll see about that. You're going to be there because you have been found guilty of a serious crime and you're going to face the music. Now, Shabana Mahmood, when she was Home Justice Secretary, earlier this year, she said, well, I'm going to do something about this. I am going to now say that defendants should be put in the dock to face sentencing and be brought there with reasonable force if necessary. Well, this guy, Shane March, just like the old days, just refused, and his refusal was accepted. OK, he said that he'd tune in by video, but, you know, does that necessarily count? Do we know he did it? The point is, I think the state, I think the public demand that these people should face their sentencing. The state should have the backbone to make them face their sentencing. And most importantly, the relatives of the victims who carefully prepare their emotional statements and read them out in court should have the satisfaction of knowing that the person who killed their loved one is listening to what they have to say. Instead, if they're not there, that whole process, the victim's statements, kind of loses all its point. When are we going to make them appear in the dock for their sentencing, Stephen?
When we grow up. So we have become performatively weak as a nation, and I despaired. I'm glad you flagged that it was Lucy Letby. I couldn't actually remember which of the monsters who refused to go to their sentencing it was that all of the, a large number of highly political lawyers immediately went on television and radio saying that we didn't have the power to force them, which is not true. Shabana Mahmood embraces that lie and then promised to give the power to force them. She hasn't done anything because she's from this Labour government who just say words and don't do anything. But actually they had the power all along, and what's happened here is Mr. Justice Murray has behaved in quite a weak way. Now, we should give him the benefit of the doubt. We should assume His Majesty's judges are quite tough. With Axel Rudakapana, we actually got Mr. Justice Goose, who's one of my favourite High Court judges. I never thought I'd have a favourite, particularly criminal criminal high court judge, because
he's my second favourite.
Well, but he forced Axel into the box, and then Axel just went crazy and kicked off and screamed. So eventually he was just like, just get rid of him. I need to proceed. What it seems to have happened here with Mr. Justice Murray is that he's waited half a day to see if he can negotiate with the evil man. We've got to stop trying to negotiate with evil people. It's a fundamental weakness in our country. We still think we can compromise and negotiate with everybody, and you can't. There are a certain group of humans who are so evil that you cannot negotiate with them. There will be no negotiated outcome, so you must use state force. And at the moment, our country looks weak and pathetic because people won't grow up and admit that. Ignore Shabana Mahmood. Of course, she's done absolutely nothing. She'll do absolutely nothing about the migrant votes. Doing absolutely nothing is what these people do.
It's a speciality.
But we must encourage our judges to be more Goose, be more like Mr. Justice Goose, and have some welly and order him there. And don't listen to lefty KCs and lefty lords. I could actually name some if I wanted to be. They were performatively pathetic on television. But don't listen to them. Have the strength.
I've heard people from the legal profession, you know, some of your colleagues, barristers, say, oh, well, this really doesn't matter. It's really not important. The question is the sentence, and they get on with it, you know, and it's uncivilised to force them into the dock. I don't really care that it's uncivilised, because, you know, stabbing your pregnant girlfriend 19 times, dare I say it, is also slightly uncivilised. So I think that, you know, that these people, particularly when you have the relatives of the victims waiting to read their statements, obviously often the most emotional moment in a trial, the perpetrator of the crime should be there to hear them, should have to face it. If you like, the beginning of their punishment, this terrible moment where the victim's relatives round on them, serves them damn well right, and force them into the dock to take their sentence. That's to do with the backbone of the state. That's to do with the pride of the state, if you ask me. Am I right?
Yes, you are. And this is why we've always had the criminal law as the king's law. It really does go to the very heart of the nation. And it's not the rise of victims. Whilst I understand the idea of victim and I have sympathy towards victims, the idea of our criminal law is actually that all of us are the victim, because the king's peace must be maintained. Order and law must be maintained in our nation. We all have the right to be safe. So this vicious, monstrous man who stabbed to death an innocent woman and a baby, you know, is a criminal against us all. The victims do not stand alone. We stand with them, and we share part of their pain, because, you know, this is a wrong committed in our country, and we must show that we are muscular and powerful. I mean, for goodness sake, I mean, I'm old enough to remember the Silence of the Lambs. There was a mask in that Sir Anthony Hopkins wore. That you know, kept peace. We can use force against people. It's not uncivilized. It is civilization itself. Rome knew civilization is force.
Absolutely. And what we do when we force them into the dock, we tell them, because this is their little moment of control, isn't it? I'm not going to do what you want me to do. I'm not going to go into the day. You want your little theatre, the victims reading their statements. I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be there when the judge says you've got life. It gives them a moment of control. And I think what we, the state, have to say to them is, listen, you're not in control. We are. The state is. And you are going to do what you're told right now, and that's what I think we should do. Shabana Mahmood, no, well, it's not Holmes, it's David Lammy's job now. I think he should do something about this.
They won't, and just ignore the government and the ministers. Just encourage the judges to be more tough. You know, if Mr. Justice Murray was sat there worrying that he'd get public criticism for forcing him into the dock, then we need to make it very clear to Mr. Justice Murray in some way that we will not criticise him if he forces this guy into the dock. We need to keep praising Mr. Justice Goose so that the rest of them want to be more like Mr. Justice Goose. We want tough judges. We want our laws to be clear, fair, you know, and applied equally amongst all of us, and you know, applied without fear or favour, but we want them applied, because that is the rule of law. And these little narcissists who refuse to do as they're told are more of a danger. They are mob ruled. They are resisting the power of the state. We want a state that is away from our lives most of the time, but when you break the law, you know, the state should come down on you like a ton of bricks. When you murder an innocent woman who's carrying a baby, I want the book thrown at you. I think all of us do. And I don't want weak judges worrying about whether or not they're going to get nice press headlines. I want them all to know and have the confidence that, like Mr. Justice Goose did, if you do it, we will just praise you. You know, that's what we will do.
Exactly right. Any judge that forces someone like Shane March into the dock to face the music won't get bad press. I can assure you of that. They will get great press. So I agree with you. Stephen, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for that. Steven Barrett there, barrister and commentator. He'll be back with me tomorrow night at 7 p.m. By the way, I'm sorry, these poppies, they don't fit that well, and mine have fallen off. I didn't realise, so I've got it back on. Sorry that my poppy has been absent so far. I didn't realise. It's just that someone came in and said, "Oh, look, your poppy fell off." Anyway, it's back.